With the oft-delayed live-action Mulan finally out, as it did before with Aladdin and The Lion King, let's take a look at the 1998 anime classic version of Mulan. The ancient Chinese legend has been passed down through generations, so let's open it up. Open on a sweeping score over some calligraphy. As the title card comes up, we fade to Great Wall of China as a guard is clipped by a falcon. These are grappling hooks, suddenly rival Hun army and their leader Shan Yu plus the late Miguel Ferrer. I just love the way the scene is staged and lit. I remember seeing this movie in the theater when I was a kid, and this opening still gives me chills. Jerry Goldsmith's score is also a great compliment to the film. The guard lights the signal fires, being sort of Gondor calls for aid, a moment a few before Lord of the Rings trilogy even came out. Though Shan Yu is unintimidated, the Emperor, voiced by the late Noriyuki Pat Morita, tells Chief Fu, voiced by James Hong, to send out the word across China they must defend their home. We are then introduced to Fa Mulan herself, voiced by Min Na Wen, and her father, Fa Zhu, voiced by the late Sun Tek Ol. He was quite the distinguished actor in his life, starring in numerous films and TV series ranging from MASH to Stargate SG-1. The Matchmaker, voiced by Miriam Margolyes, is coming that day. This is their first song, Unto Us All. Catchy as it is, the meeting with the Matchmaker doesn't go as planned. I'll also note that her grandmother is also voiced by the late June Foray, the original and many others. After that, we get our next song later that night, Reflection. While not just the way Mulan looks, but who she is as a person, it's actually my favorite song from this version, and of all the ones to be redone with the new one, I'm glad it was this song. Don't get me wrong, the songs in this movie are quite catchy, but even when I was a kid, I had to wonder, when's the right on cue, the cold arms arrives, with every man needed to help defend against the invading Huns. However, since her father's elderly and infirm, Mulan decides to disguise herself as a man and fight in his stead. Cutting her hair, she takes her family's sword and armor before riding off into the night. As her family realizes what's happened, they pray for spirits of the ancestors to watch over her. And the introduction of Mushu was by Eddie Murphy. On top of being like our genie for this movie, the honest trailer did totally call it for being his audition tape for Donkey in the Shrek series. The first ancestor is also voiced by Sulu himself, George Takei. Oh my. Elsewhere, the Huns are still laying waste to the countryside and have captured two Imperial scouts. He then demands Emperor send strongest armies, and they send a message by using an arrow fired at one of them as transition. Mulan arrives at the camp, taking up the alias Peng, alongside the short-statured and shorter-tempered Yao, voiced by Harvey Fierstein. There's also Ling, voiced by Getty Watanabe. For those who weren't around there and just haven't seen his other work, basically he fits a similar archetype for a goofy Asian supporting role that Ken Jeong does nowadays. My personal favorite was always Chiempo, voiced by Jerry Tondo, our gentle giant of this unit. I spent so much time playing with him in that Mahjong minigame on CD-ROM in this movie. They're all training under the guidance of Li Shang, voiced by BD Wong. Our man of a thousand voices, Frank Welker, also voices Kong, the horse, and Cricky, the lucky cricket. Well, what else would he be called? The training is set to make a man out of you, with Donny Osmond providing the double of Li Shang's singing voice. Despite some difficulty, Mulan and the as a whole to come together. Other supporting voice roles are the future voice of Squidward, Roger Bumpus, and future voice of Zim, Richard Stephen Horvitz. They really spared no expense, did they? The Huns have found out the Tunsha Pass, and go to intercept the Imperial Patrol and attack the village. That night, posing as General's messenger, Mushu alters the council's note and gets into all the front, such will go worth fighting for. It's an admittedly catchy song, but also makes it fit the transition as it cut off by the village having been decimated. It's a little up with smoldering remains, a little girl's doll, and General's helmet. I also forgot to mention this, but the General was Li Shang's father. In hindsight, I really like this parallel what could have happened to Fa Zhu, as Li Shang makes a symbolic grave with his father's helmet and sword. Now, as their army is the only one left to stop the Huns, Mulan leaves Dole in the snow as they battle their way to sitting in Tunsha Pass. Digital work is pretty good for the time, and just animations are some of the best to come out of the Renaissance era in this scene. With one last cannon blast, Mulan causes an avalanche that buries the Huns, but Shan Yu is still after the Emperor. Li Shang and Mulan were injured in the past, but as their wounds are tended, Mulan's secret is out. Still, there's one thing that's clear. Shan Yu must be stopped, no matter the cost. Now comes finale Imperial City. I must say, the city itself has held up remarkably well as animated set piece and how it combines both traditional and CG animation. I look forward to the upcoming 4K remaster of the film. Disguising Yao, Ling, and Qianpo as women, Mulan slips into the palace to engage Shang Yu and rescue the Emperor. Even Li Shang is won over, and the final duel against Shang Yu is spectacular even after all these years. I do like the songs, but even when I was a kid, I was really more into the fantasy martial arts aspects of the movie. I still am. I will address this as my look at the live action reversion. And to a neighboring tower of freedom, and with close Mulan returning home to her family a hero, truly bringing honor to them all. I must say, even with how much I watched this film as a kid, this one's held up much better than I expected. The Legend of Mulan has been passed down many times over the years. This take on story has definitely resonated with me ever since I saw it in the theater when I was 6. Barry Cook and Tony Bancroft made another great entry into smash hits, making over $120 million stateside and over $304 million worldwide on a $90 million budget. Even with a new film in mind, ever since I was 6, it's a movie I really passed up a chance to revisit. Final rating is 4 out of 4. I have my first viewing thoughts on live action reversion ahead of my review of it once the paywall comes out in December.